Have you ever stopped to think about how humanity managed to measure time so accurately before modern technology? The watch you wear on your wrist or check on your cell phone has a fascinating history full of innovations that dates back centuries. And it all started in the 13th century with the invention of the first mechanical watch. But why was the mechanical watch so revolutionary? How did it impact medieval societies and shape the world we know today? In this video, we will explore the origins of this incredible invention, its evolution, and the legacy it left for our modern era. Before we begin, don't forget, if you like historical curiosities, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, like this video, and share it with friends who love history. Chapter 1. The need to measure time. The beginnings. Before the mechanical clock. Since the beginning of humanity, measuring time has always been an obsession. Why, after all, did humans need instruments to control something so abstract? Before the invention of mechanical clocks, several civilizations developed ingenious ways to track the passing of time. The Egyptians, for example, created obelisks, which used the shadow of the sun to mark time. The Babylonians and Greeks popularized water clocks, also known as clepsydras. These were containers that measured time with the controlled flow of water from one point to another. Another curious example is the candle clock, widely used in ancient China. A candle with specific markings indicated how much time had passed while it burned. Amazing, isn't it? These instruments were essential for agriculture, navigation, and even for religious organization. But, despite their usefulness, they had limitations. Time measurement was imprecise and depended on factors such as sunlight or the amount of water available. It was in light of these limitations that the need arose for a more efficient solution that was independent of external conditions. And that was when the 13th century marked the beginning of a revolution. Chapter 2. The 13th century. The birth of the mechanical clock. The 13th century was a period of intense change and innovation in medieval Europe. It was in this context that one of the most transformative inventions in history emerged, the mechanical clock. But why was it so revolutionary? It all began with the need to measure time more reliably, especially in monasteries, where monks had to perform their prayers at specific times throughout the day and night. Although sundials and clepsydras were still used, their inaccuracy made this routine difficult. The answer came with the creation of mechanisms based on the escapement, a technology that allowed the controlled release of energy at regular intervals. This component was the heart of the first mechanical clock and allowed time to be measured with unprecedented precision. These early clocks were enormous, often installed in church towers or public squares. They did not have hands like modern clocks. Instead, they used chimes to indicate the time. Imagine the impact of hearing the time being marked for the first time by bells ringing automatically. There is still debate about who exactly created the first mechanical clock. Some records suggest that it was developed in monasteries in England or France, while others point to regions in Italy. Either way, this invention marked the beginning of a new era in the organization of time and society. In addition to allowing for greater precision, mechanical clocks began to symbolize power and prestige. Cities that had these clocks in their towers became technological and cultural references. With this, the way time was perceived and controlled changed forever. The invention of the mechanical clock not only helped organize daily routines, but also laid the foundation for scientific and industrial advances in the centuries that followed. Chapter 3. The cultural and social impact of the mechanical clock. The invention of the mechanical clock not only revolutionized the way we measured time, but also had a profound impact on medieval societies. Before it, time was a fluid thing, regulated by the rising and setting of the sun. With the mechanical clock, this perception began to change drastically. One of the first impacts was the centralization of time control. Mechanical clocks were often installed in church towers or public squares, and their chimes marked the rhythm of daily life. Imagine a world where people did not own personal watches. They depended on the chimes of the tower to know the time. This brought organization, but also a certain social control. In the Middle Ages, time became associated with productivity. The mechanical clock helped to better organize work, business, and even leisure schedules. It was the beginning of the transformation of time into a measured and, in a way, monetized resource. In addition, the clock became a symbol of power and authority. Only the wealthiest cities could afford to have a mechanical clock in their town squares. This made them stand out as cultural and technological centers, attracting merchants, travelers, and artisans. The church also benefited greatly from this invention. The mechanical clock strengthened its influence by marking times for prayer and other religious activities. It was a way of demonstrating control over time, something that had previously seemed uncontrollable. Interestingly, the invention of mechanical clocks also influenced the way people perceived life and death. The constant chimes reminded residents that time was limited, reinforcing the medieval notion of memento mori, remember that you will die. This cultural and social impact cannot be underestimated. The mechanical clock was not just a practical tool. It shaped the way we live and think about time to this day. Chapter 4. Legacy and Evolution. The mechanical watch and its current relevance. The impact of the mechanical watch was so profound that its influence can still be felt today, even with the advent of advanced technologies such as digital watches and satellite-based systems. The mechanical watch remains a symbol of precision, art, and innovation. After its invention in the 13th century, mechanical watches continued to evolve over the centuries. During the Renaissance, for example, technical development was accompanied by an increase in aesthetic refinement. Watches began to be decorated with elaborate ornaments, becoming true works of art. Another important milestone was the creation of pocket watches in the 16th century. These devices made time portable, allowing individuals to carry a small machine with them, something revolutionary at the time. Later, in the 19th century, wristwatches emerged, which became popular during World War I for their practicality on the battlefield. Today, the legacy of mechanical watches goes beyond their functionality. They represent the intersection of science, engineering, and art. Luxury brands such as Rolex and Patek Philippe continue to produce mechanical watches that are true examples of human mastery, combining precision and design. But why do mechanical watches still fascinate us so much, even in a world dominated by digital technology? Perhaps it's because they connect us to the past. Every gear, spring, and hand tells a story of human innovation and determination to master time. What's more, many historic mechanical watches continue to function today, a testament to their durability and ingenuity. Some, such as the Prague astronomical clock, not only measure time, but also display moon phases, planetary positions, and astronomical events, all using mechanisms designed centuries ago. Ultimately, the mechanical clock reminds us of something essential. Time is precious. It is a finite resource that we should value, whether we are using it to learn, create, or simply enjoy life. And here we are, at the end of our journey through the history of the mechanical clock, an invention that not only changed the way we measure time, but also how we live and perceive the world around us. From clepsydras and obelisks to the first mechanical clocks of the 13th century, we have seen how humanity has always sought to master time. We have explored how this revolutionary invention brought order to medieval societies, became a symbol of power and authority, and shaped our relationship with time to this day. But what does this story teach us? That every second counts. The mechanical clock is more than a machine. It is a reminder of our commitment to progress, innovation, and the relentless desire to understand and control our world. Now, it's your turn. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like so that more people can discover this fascinating story. Comment here. What was the curiosity that caught your attention the most? Or do you have a special watch with an interesting story? We want to hear from you. And, of course, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss more incredible videos like this one. Finally, remember, time is our most precious asset. Use it wisely.